Target and Walmart just don't want to pay the price for using their credit card. And Larry, look, we don't like paying for our gasoline. We don't like paying for our milk. But guess what we do? Because it's a cost of service. But Walmart and Target don't want to do it. Durbin-Marshall are doing their dirty work for them. This is just outrageous. This is a serious threat.
You've heard me talking over the last couple of weeks about the Durbin-Marshall bill in the Senate. It's a threat. It's a threat to any credit cards rewards program you've got right now. And even worse, it's a gift to these big mega stores, these giant box stores, because like they need a gift from the federal government. Well, I'm happy to shed some more light on this topic with Richard Hunt, Electronic Payments Coalition. He joins us now. And sometimes you hear ideas, Mr. Hunt, out of Washington, D.C. It's like, oh, come on. There's no way they're going to try to do this. Everybody. My rewards program right now with my airline miles that I get through my credit card are critical to my life, my travel, various aspects. And there's who in their right mind wants to take these away from us?
Yeah, Larry, look, it is just bonkers in the United States Congress, specifically the United States Senate. Durbin-Marshall think they know what's best when it comes to your credit card. Look, Larry, let's call it like it is. The credit card is safe, secure, it is convenient. Merchants get a great value out of this. And for some 15 million people last year used their reward miles through their credit card to travel across the country. So here is Durbin-Marshall trying to take this away. Now, they did it in 2010 to the debit card. Remember back then, Larry, on your debit card?
I do remember that. I remember this whole push to add, I guess there was some idea that they needed extra sort of processing regulation on debit card transactions, which, by the way, is something that affects lower income households more than any other.
Yeah, look what happened back in 2010 on the debit card. Free checking accounts, guess what happened, Larry? They went away. Miles that you could accumulate on your debit card went away. So now they're trying to do to the credit card what they did to the debit card. And this is just wrong-headed approach. They do not understand the consequences of a fundamental change, how credit cards are processed in today's economy. The credit card system in this country is the envy of the world. And Target and Walmart just don't want to pay the price for using the credit card. And Larry, look, we don't like paying for our gasoline. We don't like paying for our milk. But guess what we do? Because it's a cost of service. But Walmart and Target don't want to do it. Durbin-Marshall are doing their dirty work for them. This is just outrageous. This is a serious threat. They tried to get it on the National Defense Authorization Act last year, Larry.
Come on, national defense. What has this got to do with submarines and missiles?
Absolutely nothing. But they're trying to weaponize the government. As soon as the American companies like the airlines opposed their bill, Larry, guess what they did? They turned to the GAO, they turned to the Department of Transportation, and now the CFPB to go against these companies just because they oppose the bill. And there's going to be a couple of hearings coming up going after reward points. But look, Americans rely on their points these days. The number one option people use is cash back. You talked about low income. That's how a lot of low income people use their points, cash back to pay for their gas and their groceries. Here come two United States senators who want to take that away from you.
Well, listen, I want to harness the passion of our audience here. I've got more to ask you, but since you mentioned these hearings coming up, I know how effective it is when the senators and congressmen hear from people before these hearings. It sort of sets a tone. So what can people do here to make sure that their senator knows about it?
Yeah, we've had 1.5 million letters sent to the United States Congress. Go to our website, handsoffmyrewards.com, handsoffmyrewards.com. Contact your local United States senators. Tell them you do not want your credit card messed around with. Look, anytime the Washington, D.C. politicians say we know what's best, consumers lose every single time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I'm hearing the same things about this Durbin-Marshall Act right now that I heard with the debit card thing, which is, listen, this is going to reduce fees and it'll allow these companies to pass on savings to the consumer. I'm sorry, I don't remember that. I don't remember cashing in on all those savings. I just remembered actually bank fees suddenly appearing that weren't there before.
Yeah, look, we've had several independent research analysis come back and say the consumer never got the savings from corporate America. Look, I'll give Home Depot a little bit of credit, Larry. You ready for this? At
Yeah.
least they admitted in their earnings report, the CFO in 2012 said Home Depot is going to pocket the $32 million savings on interchange. At least they were honest. And just recently, the Congressional Research Service, the mother of all independent research, the independent agency the Congress relies on to tell them the real dirt, the real skinny, said they have no significant proof that consumers would benefit off the Durbin-Marshall event. So this is just perplexing to me, why Marshall and Durbin are protecting the big corporate retail stores and not the consumer.
Let's make this very real for people, because we're right up against spring break here. In fact, some people are starting their spring break vacations. And I know when I'm about to take a vacation, and it's not cheap these days to take a vacation. But one benefit here is, okay, well, I'm going to spend these miles. And if I use this airline credit card with this airline, then I'm going to get more points back with it. And so I'm and then when I'm staying at this hotel, all these different things. And if I have to make purchases for clothes for the vacation because I'm going to a warmer climate, I can get some reward back from the store. So this is a big chunk of what consumers, regular American consumers, factor in when they go on a vacation. How is Durbin-Marshall going to affect people if we're in effect right now, right before spring break?
Yeah, so let's take it to another level. Think about Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, who really depends on the travel and tourism industry. Fort Myers, Florida, Reno, Nevada, even a large city like Miami relies on tourism. So think about when you travel to, say, Miami, you may have used your points to get to Miami. Then you're going to rent a car. Then you're going to go to a restaurant. Then you're going to go to a hotel. So it's a domino effect. And we think this will have a significant impact on the United States economy if this bill were ever to pass. But look, we're doing everything we can. We've got people aligned in all 50 states to fight back against government controls and weaponizing the United States government against consumers and American companies at handsoffmyrewards.com.
Yeah. And by the way, it doesn't even need to be said, but I guess it does, because people are in such a stifling bubble in Washington, D.C. Our economy is not in a place where we can weather this sort of. I mean, we should never do something like this, but certainly not now. Not with inflation where it is and small businesses struggling. And let's pull on that thread a little bit here, because it bothers me that these mega stores are all in favor of it. Usually that means the people who are actually going to get stung the most are their competitors, the family-owned small businesses.
Yeah, think about the high prices of groceries today that have not come down whatsoever. The big mega stores have continued to pocket that. They're not brought their costs down. One of the key features of using a credit card reward system is you can actually use your miles to pay down your credit card statement at the end of the month. You probably bought a lot of gifts for your family members. You probably went over budget, but people use their miles to pay down their credit card statement. You're right. The economy is in a tough spot right now. People rely, low income, middle income, and higher income all rely on their points to reduce their monthly cost.
And of course, we talk about the benefits directly to the consumer with these rewards that are now being threatened by this Durbin-Marshall bill, but also small businesses benefit, don't they? I mean, this sort of thing gives them a competitive edge to be able to attract people to their businesses.
Yeah, you bet. We've got small businesses across the country who rely on their points to pay their employees, to provide perks, and to buy goods and services.
Yeah.
So we keep talking about the consumer, but also the small business man and woman across the country rely on these points. They use their credit card to pay their bills, so they accumulate the miles, so they can also travel and promote tourism and pay for their goods that they need to provide services to their customers.
Well, and there's also a very human level here, if I may say. My dad lives on the other side of the country, and I've got 4 children. 3 of them are out of high school. 1 still in school. I want my kids to be able to see their grandpa. He's getting up there. All right. I don't want to get too personal, but I'm planning a trip for all my kids to be able to see their grandpa, possibly for one last time. If I wasn't able to harness my rewards miles that I mostly get from my credit card purchases, it would not be possible. It would cost so much money to make that travel happen. I don't know why an elected official would want to tamper with something that's clearly not broken.
Yeah, so Larry, let's think about this. There's some 250 million people in this country who have a credit card, and 80% of them belong to some type of reward system, which they use to go visit loved ones. Sometimes they have to go to a funeral at the last second. They'd rather use the miles than have to pay for probably a higher airfare. So they use that all the time. Think about the state of Florida. Some 2 million people use miles in Florida, some 3 million in the state of California. So if you think about all what I call the sunny states in this country, they're the ones who are more dependent on using reward miles for travel and tourism. Families need these miles. So many great airlines customers use these miles. Some 57% have used miles on each of these airlines that are in the United States.
This is why people use words like the swamp, and why they really detest all the Congress has approval rating pretty low these days, and it's because they're coming up with things like this instead of fixing real problems that need fixing. So once again, let's harness Team Larry out there and get these emails going to Congress. Where do people need to go? Not only to sort of get activated and actually notify their senator and their congressman, but also to get more information so that they can educate themselves about this Durbin-Marshall Act. Where do you want people to go, Mr. Hunt?
Yeah, Larry, I want to go from 1.5 million letters to 2 million today based upon your viewership. Hands off myrewards.com. Hands off myrewards.com. Contact your senator. Learn more about this bill. This is a real serious threat. This passed in 2010 on debit. This is the only issue for Target and Walmart that they're working on. We sure as hell don't want this to happen to credit cards.
Richard Hunt, Electronic Payments Coalition. Thank you. Appreciate it. Very informative, and really lets everyone out there know exactly what's going on here. And I think we're going to make a difference. I appreciate you joining us today.
Great, Larry. Thank you very much.